The year was 1996. Aki Maita and Akihiro Yokoi developed and released Tamagotchi in Japan, looking to fill the void of absent pets in homes due to a lot of housing restrictions at the time. The toy line exploded in popularity in and outside of Japan, and Bandai, seeing the potential of the product, wanted to rework the concept to target a more male demographic. This led to the development of Digimon, taking the care and portability of a Tamagotchi, but adding edgier monster designs and the ability to connect and battle. I was 8 years old running around the playground at recess when I noticed my third grade crush, Catherine, playing with something that looked like a Tamagotchi, but way, way cooler. I peeked over and she explained what it was, and I was immediately hooked. The brick design with the busted cage bars as the bezel, a sick, nasty looking dinosaur thing as the pet. This was Tamagotchi on steroids. I was the demographic, and it hit hard. So hard that I would wake up before school and secretly watch the Digimon Adventure anime whenever I could. At one point, I was so entranced, I forgot to change clothes before leaving for school and wore my Batman pajamas, complete with attached cape. I called my mom to bring me a change of clothes, but sadly, I went through the day as Batman. Needless to say, I wasn't winning any cool points with Catherine. Funny enough, at one point, I slipped a fake pearl necklace in her desk with a note, and she gave it back in the middle of class saying, "I only like real pearls." Not sure how 8-year-old me was supposed to get real pearls, but that was off the table. She reminded me of Kimberly from the Power Rangers, probably why I liked her. Anyway, Digimon exploded in popularity in Japan, and with the launch of the toy line, a series of tournaments called the D1 Grand Prix was launched in partnership with Shonen Jump. And just to quickly go over how Digimon virtual pets work, you start with an egg that hatches into a baby Digimon, and then subsequently to baby 2, then child, adult, and perfect. Later, additional forms would be added as the series progressed, but at the start, those were the initial forms. Based on the care that you took, or lack of care, the evolution line would branch off, giving you potentially different results every time you played. Additionally, Digimon had a lifespan and would eventually die as well, similar to a Tamagotchi. They could also die from injury due to battles, and this increased incentive to keep running the devices to see which Digimon you would get on each playthrough and how long you could keep them alive. First D1 tournaments started in April of 1998 and ended in August 23rd of the same year. At this time, the D1 included the Digital Monster version 1, version 2, and version 3, bringing the total number of Digimon to 42, although in practice, only 9 of the perfects were actually viable to win for the D1. By the time the national tournament rolled around, version 4 and 5 had been released as well, bringing the total of Digimon up to 60. With those additions, it brought the total number of viable Digimon up to 15, which were the perfect level Digimon, and of those, only 5 were considered S-rank perfects, likely to go undefeated. The best group of those perfects had a 75% chance to win versus any given Digimon. Its worst matchup was itself, which was only a 50% chance to win, and those Digimon were Monzaemon, Vadermon, Edamon, Digitamamon, and X-Tyrannomon. There was also another way to increase one's probability of winning by repeatedly feeding a Digimon protein to build up its chances by a maximum of 20% of the original value. However, due to timing of tournaments and proteins reducing lifespan, a lot of thought would have to go into when to start the raising process in order to hopefully avoid your Digimon dying before the tournament or during the tournament. Each regional qualifier followed a set of rules. Japanese manuals for the digital monster pets laid out these rules, with the preliminary rounds of each D1 as a best of one battle royale format, and the top cut as a best of 3 tournament bracket. This meant that participating tamers only needed to win a single game each round to proceed initially, but anybody that lost a game during the preliminaries would be cut from the tournament entirely. So basically, Digimon was the Fortnite Battle Royale of 1998. The top cut of these tournaments would play a best of 3 in order to find a winner. During these events, a limited edition D1 Grand Prix version was available to winners. The rumor is that 10,000 of these were distributed, although it's not well documented if that number is accurate or whether or not these were also purchasable at these events. They also had tamer tags and other event-exclusive merchandise available at these tournaments. For the 1998 National Championship, in addition to the participants invited from the regional tournaments, a number of locals were allowed to participate in order to establish the tournament cap of 1,000 participants. Unfortunately, due to the loss of the original websites and no snapshots from that time period, we don't know who the first national championship was or which Digimon he used, but it's safe to assume that he used one of the 5 more advantageous Digimon. The tournament scene was incredibly popular, and not long after the first national tournament, on October 14th of 1998, Weekly Shonen Jump and V-Jump hosted the Autumn Digimon Festival, where they announced the second D1 Grand Prix as well as the newest in the line of Digimon virtual pets, the Digimon Pendulum.
モンモンデジモン育てるモンモンモンモンデジモンペンデュラムバトルの前には振りますモンモン
振って対戦ニューバトルデジモンペンデュラムモンスター合体もできるよ
The Pendulum added new Digimon and a new in-game location lore going from the original File Island to the folder Continent. They also changed some of the returning Digimon as well as adding a new training mechanic, being a pendulum where instead of pressing a button for training, you would shake the device to try to hit a certain counter to determine the power. This added a damage multiplier for hitting a certain number, with the ideal number of shakes netting you a more powerful attack. The number to get a good attack varied from Digimon to Digimon and would add an additional value to your overall base stats, as well as giving you a little bit more input during battles. The pendulums were also inherently stronger than the first generation of devices, with all the Digimon old enough to fight being in the same tier as the perfects from the previous generation. Winning with the original devices was much harder to do. Additionally, feeding proteins to increase stats was also carried over, but increased your risk of incurring injuries after battle, which could potentially lead to a Digimon dying once enough were accumulated. At this point, the type triangle was also introduced, with Digimon being labeled either vaccine, data, and virus, and each one being strong or weak to one another. This added significantly more thought when it came to deciding what you wanted to raise in order to give yourself the best odds to win. One factor was the amount of shakes to get the strongest attack, with the shakes on the lower and middle end being preferred to the Digimon that required more, due to it being harder to accurately land the right number of shakes. Some of the higher values were upwards of 20 or 30 shakes. The Pendulum also added an additional evolution, as well as a new Jogress mechanic that allowed you to fuse 2 Digimon together in order to progress evolution. And lastly, the Pendulum added the traded egg mechanic, where if you raised a Digimon well, when it eventually died, it would leave a traded egg that would increase your chances of higher evolutions on the next run. Supposedly, these additionally carried over stats that stacked for each subsequent egg as well. The reception to the Pendulum was incredibly high and quickly took over the competitive scene. At this time, the manga V-Tamer was also released, which predates the Digimon Adventure anime and shows the first iteration of what would become Tai or Taichi's design for the anime. The manga also incorporated some D1 Grand Prix elements as well into the story. The D1 tournaments would continue as new devices released in the Pendulum line, as well as the Digivice toys as the anime started to popularize. Due to some coding changes though, the Digivice was not on par with the Pendulums competitively, and so were rarely used. Heading towards 1999, the popularity of the franchise and the tournaments continued to grow, with a surprisingly larger number of girls participating at the time. The cutoff age for the tournaments was high school, but that demographic seemed to be turning out in larger numbers. Why, you ask? Well, according to the now defunct DigimonWorld.org, it's Fujoshi. Yeah, so apparently this is a term that's coined, the translation is rotten women. It's a self-deprecating term for a category of female consumers that apparently gained prominence during the same period that Digimon Adventure aired. And these are basically women who like to fantasize about the guys in the character in the show. So there's that. And they liked it so much that they would go to tournaments. So anyway, I did manage to find information about the winner of the 1999 Grand Prix National Tournament winner. He had posted about his experience participating in the D1 events, as well as what he used to win with in the National Tournament. Leading up to this point, an interesting glitch was found in the version 4 bricks, or the original devices, that allowed trainers to add a multiplier to 2 distinct Digimon that would allow for a 90% chance of victory against opponents from the Pendulum devices, disregarding which evolution stage they were at. The two Digimon utilized for this glitch were Digitamamon and Nanomon. If you guys want to see how this glitch works, you can check out this video by Digital Dream where he recreated the glitch. I'll link it down below. It's pretty interesting. How kids were able to figure out how to do this is beyond me. Japanese kids are built different. Whatever the information on the actual board is stored on, I'm assuming it's like, I don't know, some kind of EEPROM chip or something. There's like a big glob of epoxy on it, so there's like no way to like connect it to a computer. Like how did they figure this out? You're gonna have to watch the video because it's really complicated, and I don't know how they figured it out. It's beyond me. Anyway, according to him, the 1999 national tournament was comprised of winners of D1 events from April 1998 to August of 1999 and came to a total of 64 participants. He also wasn't the only one using the glitch Digimon. He recounted that he came across at least 2 others using the same glitch, although in the finals he ended up matching against a pendulum Saberleomon, which of course he ended up defeating. The D1 tournaments continued into the 2000s, although a lot of the information is lost or buried into the depths of the Wayback Machine. More recently, when the 20th anniversary devices came out, Bandai launched a new D1 event where you could paste a code from your device into a website to compete online. A ton of people participated in this event, including myself, with the prize being signed art from the Digimon designer himself, Kenji Watanabe. The winner, Mr. Boot, ended up taking first place with Omegamon Alter S and Rust Tyrannomon. Since this time, the D1 Grand Prix events have been pretty quiet, with the reception of the Reboot Color devices, which introduces remakes from the original devices with modern features like backlit colored screens and rechargeable batteries, as well as crossovers with the Monster Hunter and Godzilla releasing in 2025. Hopefully Bandai ends up picking back up the competitive events. It would be really cool for them to reincorporate sort of the code thing that they did with the 15th anniversary devices. That way people all over the place could participate. But I am really hoping that the D1 events come back at some point. There technically is D1 events for the trading card game, but since it's a completely different sort of game, I don't know if that quite counts. But in the meantime, if you're interested in checking out competitive Digimon, you can grab a device pretty cheap and an ACOM, which is a fan-made device that runs off of the back of Arduino, and you can connect through a fan-made game called Digimon World and basically bring your Digimon from your little device into the game and fight other people. They host tournaments and things like that all the time. It's really cool. I'll link the Discord in the description where you guys can check out the game and grab an ACOM from one of the makers in the server if you're interested. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting. If you have any additional information, feel free to drop it in the comments below. A lot of this was pieced together off of defunct websites, Wikipedia pages, and Japanese sites, so there may be some information that was lost to time or misinterpreted. So with that, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. If you feel like checking out my other hobby videos, I have a playlist of toy history videos on my channel covering various niche Japanese toy lines. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.
モンモンデジモン育てるモンモンモンモンデジモンペンデュラムバトルの前には振りますモンモン
振って対戦ニューバトルデジモンペンデュラムモンスター合体もできるよ。